Book 2, Judgment. A-Ra, the alpha, pointed up, pointed the right direction. The arrow, the hero. Hurry! There's no time to waste. The turtle cannot win this race. The turtle is a symbol of evil and set of sexual immorality, confusion, chaos, storms, the foreigners, desert, and red hair. People are foreign to the Spirit of God who need to be taught. These people are outside of Africa, outside of this African martial art order, this Igbo martial art order. Haru is the true grace from intense God spirit through the sun gate found in the light martial arts Pharaoh. Remember, this is book 2. He has to transcend, trains, right? All this sexual immorality ends. To ascend, transcend to ascend, to alpha-send, and deliver the worthy. Through their interaction with his spirit, a grace-filled spirit symbolized by an ostrich feather at times, since the ostrich is the lowest bird who struggles with flight and cowers symbolically with his head in the ground. It also symbolizes breeding with the tall Igbo women or some tall woman. To make yourself taller, you're as useless as an ostrich. You know, the falcon is the key, not the woman. Taught in Anubis are God's aspects of careful thought and impartial measurement. Obviously, they are abused. They're superimposed ideas that are abused by the magic card ninnies. Osiris is a stage that the soul must pass through as the blackness of death or a form of consciousness and the lack of. Again, he's more described as Lucifer by the New Age and by the Eurocentrics and everyone else. Ra is the most significant aspect as being all-knowing through sense, and the judging is done through the black and powering the measurement process with martial and divine creator power. I go as far as to say this part is so confusing. This is part of why the judgment is mine. So obviously it's done, basically when you go unconscious, when you go to sleep, right? I'm comparing that to death, okay? It's naturally these things are continuing, not with the government's bitch and so on and so forth. Anyway, moving on. Anything not true of voice or true to the Logos, showing lack of seeking God naturally with heart, dies. Judgment. Haru, page 2. Haru must lead them individually to his father through the obstacles. Okay, it's like a warrior leading his unit through the forest, like King David when he's told that he must kill the enemies of Israel to marry King Saul's daughter. Okay, he must lead them individually to his father through the obstacles. Okay, no magic can get you through there and get you there. This is an undermine the Pharaoh's power snake trade route illusion. Undermine, right? Mining, Min, a deity of chemistry. Okay, a deity of mining. The riches under the earth, Pluto, Hades. I can go on and on about it. Let's just stick to this. Psychology and drugs cannot replace Pharaoh as Haru with top martial artist power and Ra generation. Okay, they cannot use their science or their psychology or drugs to replace me or my children. They cannot say this guy's related to him and we raised him. No, raising the son. I have to raise the son. My grandfather was raised by my great-grandfather, and he was given the most worthy child, who was his daughter. So the only way around this kind of ostrich idea is when the king himself says, you can marry my daughter, and all these other family members fail to emerge, and then the spirit is now conveyed through him and her. Okay? And then my dad emerges as the most profoundly moral of the descendants, and it's clear cut. You know them by their fruits. So this is a patriarchal line, but he can name a successor, okay, spiritually and otherwise. This calls for selflessness and hard internal work. He who is not groupthink righteous, acknowledge the true scale and accept Pharaoh's order. Amut is a wicked witch mixed with Set's hippo characteristics. Finally, Sobek's part as a ruthless killer devours the heart and soul. Apep threatens to win the day and disrupt the divine order as his spirit in the python, or his world energy, symbolizes the ancient serpent, that is man thinking with his dick and woman thinking with her bitch, coming together to cheat him. And this is illustrated by the gender-neutral snake. It's illustrated by the gender-neutral snake with the woman who's tricked by this idea. This gender-neutral kind of, this DNA expression, right? Impression and expression are connected. The wise king of snakes and restricting life to choke the spirit out of them state. Okay, I go as far as to say I wrote that in a misleading manner, and I have to explain that. Basically, he's not wise. Basically, I must be referring to the opposition view. This is this cunning piece of shit who fucking builds on the tree of knowledge. Yeah, that's their bitch being injected into my words. Obviously, they're despicable. They should be killed immediately for that. But it's basically the cunning, devilish king of snakes. Okay, wants you to wrestle, and he wants you to use the brute force, the Neanderthal brute force of the enemies of God. And if the Neanderthal was to be this kind of divine creature that mixed, they have established him and his spirit as an evil brute that they express instead of listening to God's grace as they abuse women and so on and so forth. Did you support the divine order and find your rightful place not too high or low through Pharaoh or the blackness in your belly? The heart must be equal to the feather of the hero, the scale, the measurement, the grace. Did you accept the true grace and the divine order and purpose? In person? Or did you suck a snake, wolf, goat dick? The wolf is a symbol of the Roman people. The brood of vipers, the Jews, who are the offspring of treachery, the desire to trick Esau, which Jacob was punished for, versus that part of him that God valued and said that part of him needs to rule over the world. Not the Jezebels, not the followers of Baal, not the serpents, but those who obey me. Any Jew that does not obey me is not really a Jew. And when they finally succeed after I die in getting rid of my line, God hates them. And their children will be brought before me as they will in judgment, as I will rejoin with God. And you better believe nobody will suffer like they will suffer. Nobody's stupider than those who follow the opposition view in this time. This is the time of the closing of the sun gate. And if you do not obey me, you will regret it. I have no doubt in my mind. You will regret it.